Hello, welcome to Dungeon Dwellers Podcast. I'm your host Justin. Welcome to our weekly Mecha anime review show. Today we're reviewing another Go Nagai anime, which we already reviewed, Getter Robo Armageddon. Right, this time we're reviewing Mazinger Z: The Impact, which is a 2009 remake slash abridged version of the original series, which I think ran for 50 episodes, where this one is only 26 if you count the recap episode, which there was a recap episode in the show that's only that's 26 episodes long. Oh my god. So the story for this show, which the anime before I get into that, we'll get into the who worked on the show. You got Yasuhiro Imagawa as the director. You have Hideyuki Motohashi as mecha design. Right? Jam Project did the theme song, and obviously this is based off the work of Go Nagai. It's rated R for 17 plus violence and profanity. Right? Which is the Discotek, which is the version I watched, which was this was released for Western audiences by Discotek. Did they rate it 17? No, they didn't. Right, which I got the DVD. Cost me a pretty penny. I'm not gonna lie, but thankfully none of the discs were scratched. Which, you know, with Discotek, that happens a lot. Which is weird, because you look at how they set up their discs, you wouldn't think that you would have that problem. Oh, and if you flip the cover, you get a 70s style cover art, which looks cool. So I'm gonna stick to the more modern cover, which looks really cool. So the show is about Koji Kabuto, who is a teenager. He wants to become like a motorcycle racer. He lives with his younger brother and his grandfather, Juzo Kabuto, who's the world's most leading robotics engineer, who for the last 10 years has been working on a giant robot called Mazinger Z. While this is going on, there's this new institute called the Photon Power Institute, created by Dr. Yumi, who discovered this ore called Japanium, however you pronounce it, which is this ore that contains this new energy source called photon power that could revolutionize the world and solve major power crises. Once he announced this to the world, this spurs a mad scientist, Dr. Hell, to summon his armies and unleash Mecha Kaiju or his mechanical beasts to attack the Photon Power Institute, which is in Atami, Japan, right? The city of Atami, right? What ends up happening is they also attack Juzo Kabuto, because Juzo Kabuto was an old acquaintance of Dr. Hell, and Juzo Kabuto gets killed, but leaves behind Mazinger Z, which is a giant super robot, to his grandson Kabuto Koji, Koji Kabuto. In Asian countries, you say family name first, given name second, so reading the subtitles was confusing as was fuck, because they'll translate it to Koji Kabuto, but they'll be saying Kabuto Koji, so I'm a little mixed up, right? So yeah, Kabuto Koji defeats his first mecha, Mecha Kaiju, and teams up with the Photon Power Institute, which is run by Dr. Yumi, and they have this group of robots that defend the Photon Power Institute, which is later called the Mazinger Army, which is led by Sayako Yumi, who pilots the Aphrodite A, and later on the Venus A. And you have a couple of the other characters who pilot really shitty robots until they get upgraded near the end of the show, and then they're a bit more competent, but not so much. You also have other characters like the Gane traditional Japanese bathhouse, which later on you find out that the proprietress who runs that place is Kabuto's mother. And you also have the Kirigane 5, which are Cross, who's a cyborg made out of Super Alloy Z, the same material that Mazinger Z is made from. You have Sensei, who's a silent swordsman / chef. Yazu the Weezu, which is like he's like a con man / bomb maker. You have Django, he's supposed to be Mexican, but he doesn't look Mexican at all. Who's the gunman / Uber guy who he picks up he picks up his job at the bathhouse is to pick up important guests in his van and then kill them if they're they pose a threat. And you'll have Kiku Kinosuke, which is the old lady who's like a host of the Kurganic bathhouse, who wields like a string weapon, right? Which is also made out of Super Alloy Z. And other characters you have Boss and his 2 henchmen, who are Japanese high school students who want to defeat Kabuto Koji so he can be the top high school gang leader of all Japan, which he even gets his own giant robot in this show, which looks really dumb, but it has like a cool gimmick where he can like stretch the arms and like strangle people, which if you ever played the Super Robot Wars games where he's in, like his attacks look really cool, especially in the one I have for the Vita. What is it called? Super Robot Wars Z. I'm not seeing the English the English name here. But if I were to put it in my Vita, I would get it. I don't know. It's like the third one for the Vita, right? So I don't know. I really like this show. It doesn't have a lot of the problems that most Super Robot shows have, where they're episodic and it kind of gets boring after a while. Here, the show is told in arcs, but the problem with the show, right, is that it doesn't tell a story linearly. So like you'll get like a flash forward to something that happens in the beginning of at the end of the arc, and then you're working your way back. And in the meantime, there'll be flashbacks, right? Which is super annoying. And there was one point where like an episode ended on a cliffhanger where one of the villains, right? One of the villains, Brocken, which is like a German soldier who has a floating head, who is one of the 5 generals of Dr. Hell, which the other generals are Ashura, Pigman, and I'm not exactly sure who the other couple of generals are supposed to be. Well, one of them was supposed to be Juzo Kabuto, and later on it's revealed that, you know, his son was supposed to be a general, but like, you know, that he supposedly died. But yeah, there's like an episode where like Brocken drops like a bomb on Atomy, right? And then the episode ends with our characters like trying, you know, about to get blown up. If like, you know, if Koji Kabuto doesn't do something with Mazinger Z quick, and then it ends like the next episode is him in jail getting questioned where the cockpit slash flying craft that's called the Plyder, which can detach from the Mazinger Z, where it is, right? Which is being hidden, and it's not until like the end of that arc where you find out how, you know, Mazinger Z defeated the, you know, bomb, which was a robot also, right? Which, you know. So I don't know. I'm probably just gonna go to my likes and dislikes. So pros: you got colorful cast of characters, iconic mecha design, like obviously Mazinger Z. It's very iconic mecha, right? Cool animation, visuals, story arcs instead of episodic episodes. Good music. The opening and the ending songs are pretty cool. Good, you got good fights. Decent length show. It's not. It did like the show didn't feel like it. You know, it was too long. You know, 26 episodes, good length. You got references to other Go Nagai works. Like there was like a reference to Violence Jack and Devilman. Though you would think this being like a super robot show, there would be references to other Go Nagai super robot shows like Get a Robo, what was it called? Grandizer, Kotetsu Jig, or whatever that show's called. You know, there like the only references I noticed were Violence Jack and Devilman. You got new mecha for like the pilots, which were cool. I like when like shows where like characters, giant robots get upgrades or they get new robots, so that's cool. I appreciate that. You got great villain hero team up, which, you know, a lot of old school shows would have an episode where the villains and the heroes team up to fight a common enemy, right? Because the villains are also the stars of the show as well, right? And you got cool plot twists, though like some of them kind of don't make sense at times. like how long were Dr. Hell and Juzo Kabuto and the other characters on the island where they find the mechanical beasts and shit? Which people don't know, the mechanical beasts that, like, you know, that our main character fights are from an ancient civilization of like aliens slash gods who were on like Earth to use as like, you know, as like kind of like not docking, like a garrison, right, to launch their invasions on like other planets. And you know, one of the god characters, which is Zeus, who decides to fight the other gods who want to destroy Earth for like no reason. And Zeus's dead body is the ore that they use to make Mazinger Z. If you ever wonder what does the Z stand for in Mazinger, it's Zeus. which is or this as how they pronounce it in this show, which was super cringe. Oh my god. So now we gotta go into the cons. Recap episode is number 1, which is like, why do you have a fucking recap episode in a fucking show that's like 26 episodes long? It's like, Jesus Christ, dude. Especially another con is too many flash forwards and flashbacks, and they'll reuse the same footage. They'll show you the same flashbacks a lot. So when I was watching the recap episode, it took me a while to realize, oh fuck, this is a clip show, because I was so used to the fucking flashbacks, right? That I didn't even. It took me a while to realize that. So yeah, there's too many flash forwards and flashbacks and reuse of animation. Non-linear storytelling, which gets confusing. A lot of fake character devs. A lot of the characters, you'll have characters that'll die and come back again, and then there'll be characters that you were told were dead in the beginning of the show that turned out that they were never dead in the first place. To the point where I was surprised when like Juzo Kabuto stayed dead throughout the show, because like almost everybody else fucking almost everybody else who died would come back. So to find out he was dead, he was still dead. Right. What was first episode is a preview of the finale, and which I'm not a huge fan of that, because then like when you finally got to the finale, there was a lot of animation from the first episode, right? So was not a fan of that, but it was like, I kind of get why you would want to show everybody, hey, here's an idea of what the finale for the show is going to be in the first episode, but the entire first episode was the finale, finale, right? Which they changed it up a bit during the actual finale, because the actual finale is like 2 episodes long. But still, it was like not a huge fan of that. And it also showed like a bunch of characters that you thought were dead were obviously were going to come back because of that, which they spoiled when they spoiled the finale for the first episode. All right, so then after that, what else did I write? Breaks the fourth wall a lot, which I hate when shows do that. Too much screen time for Baron Ashura. Baron Ashura is the villain in this show, who's like half male, half female. Which he was like 2 people that got split in half, and they took each half and fused them together, right? The male half and the female half together. Which there's an episode where Baron Ashura is taking a bath at the bathhouse, and they have this like Tanuki statue, which is like kind of like a raccoon or in Japan, right? And like they use the Tanuki statue to peep on women during the female bath. So they were peeping on Baron Ashura in the bath to see, hey, what does Baron Ashura look like naked? Which was super creepy. Which you don't see nothing, but still, that was fucking weird. And this, I can't. Oh, well, my last 2 cons I can't talk about without getting into spoilers. So I'm gonna give you my rating, and then I'll give the spoilers. The one con I forgot to mention was you get like Great Mazinger, which is one of my favorite mechs from the Mazinger Z universe, is in the show, but you don't ever get a full look of him. You only see him in the darkness, which kind of pissed me off, because he's like my favorite mech from this show. Which Great Mazinger is pretty much Mazinger Z, but with like wings and like a sword. Which, you know, Mazinger Z does get like wings later on in the show. But actually, he gets it like halfway through the show, then loses the wings, and then gets it back. Right? But yeah, so that's a little complaint of mine. Like, was not a huge fan of the, you know, Great Mazinger not getting like, you know, hardly any screen time. Like, he's in like the finale episode. He's in the first episode, and then he has like the same like he has like the same amount of screen time that he did in the first episode, that he did in like the finale. But you do see like his like pilot in flashbacks, which turns out to be like the brother of the proprietress, which is, you know, Kabuto Koji's mother. So yeah, so my rating is 6.5 out of 10. Now I'm gonna get into spoilers. So my final complaint, which the show ends with a cliffhanger / villains winning at the end of the show, which is like, what the fuck? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like the characters, it turns out Baron Ashura's body, which, you know, the excuse for when they find the Baron Ashura's body in the Bardos Island, you know, the male half was rotted, and the male body's like half his body was rotted half, and like the female half was also rotted, and like they took the two halves and combined them together. Turns out that they were perfectly preserved, but Dr. Hell burned half the bodies so they can combine it, because he also killed the other survivors of Bardos Island that were in, like, you know, hibernation. So when that happened, that was a really cool, you know, plot twist, that Baron Ashura was this tragic character who they were a couple in love with each other, but then when they woke up, they were inhabiting the same body. And then they were just, I guess, grateful to be alive, right? And it's when it turns out, oh, they could have been revived normally, and that, you know, Dr. Hell was the one who did that, was the motivation for why Baron Ashura teams up with Kabuto Koji at the end of the show. And it turns out he does a double cross where Dr. Hell's the reason why the mechanical beasts, and, like, you know, Hades, which is another god from of the ancient civilization that, you know, created the mechanical beasts, didn't come back to Earth for some reason, and they show up once Dr. Hell dies. They show up, and our characters are already like spent. They use most of their resources fighting Dr. Hell. So when Hades and the other, you know, gods show up, they're just screwed, and then the show ends. Which, you know, also I forgot to mention that we find out how the mechanical beasts work, and it doesn't make sense, because apparently they work by these combat brains called Kidora, right? And so there's an episode where Dr. Hell sends one of them to fight um, Mazinger Z, but then the Ghidorah goes out of control and has to wants to kill everybody and destroy the world. So Dr. Hell destroys the other Ghidorah he has. But like it's explained that the mechanical beasts are basically just empty shells with a Ghidorah in the brain, right? In the head, which controls the mechanical beast. So like how are they still able to use the mechanical beast when they had to kill all the Ghidorah after that, which that makes no sense, but whatever. So yeah, like my problem with the ending is why I gave this show a 6.5 out of 10, because I was leaning for a 7, which this show, on my anime list, it gets like a 7.70, and like a lot of people in the reviews gave it an 8. But like my problem with the show, it's just like the show ends with a cliffhanger, and as far as I know, there's no sequel to the show. I mean, we have the Mazinger Infinity movie, but I'm pretty sure Dr. Hell is the villain of that, and that's more of a sequel to the original show, right? So like, I don't know, dude. Like that's how I feel about the show. Though I thought it was a great show, there was a lot of fun. The storytelling in this show, with all the flashbacks and the flash forwards and like character like the plot twists and shit that don't make sense. Like there's an episode where like an arc in the show where like the protagonist is getting haunted by the ghosts of her dead brother, and then and his grudge is killing her, drain her life away, and then you find out that actually he doesn't really have a grudge towards her. It was he told her to kill him, right? Because he was in a fight with another character who I don't want to spoil, and like he was going to die anyway, so he told his sister to shoot both of them, and it turned out that was just a ploy by the other villain. But like, why wouldn't she know right away this was a ploy? Why would she think her brother had a grudge against her, even though he was the one who told her to kill him? That was fucking stupid. Sorry. Yeah, that's all I gotta say for this show. I think the show is worth watching, but I would not spend $80 on it like I did. I would try to get this show cheap because it is only 26 episodes. So the next show we're going to review, I haven't decided yet. But well, when I decide, I'll let you guys know. All right, I'll pick something by Monday. All right. So, all right, guys, that's it for today's review. Peace.